here we have the 1333, and this is the channel of the prodigal and the design of a witness. So 13 is the fellowship of man and the gate of the listener. And it's an identity or a G-center gate, and that's that yellow diamond right in the center. And 33 is retreat and the gate of privacy, and it is a throat gate, which is that brown square above the yellow diamond. And the 1333 is about reflection and remembrance. Gate 13 listens and stores information and secrets, harvesting memories and lessons learned. And gate 33 retreats to reflect on experiences, patiently waiting for what is beneath the surface to reveal itself in the form of a deeper truth.
Yeah, so if 13 holds on to the secrets and 33 then decides when to basically put them out. And if you look back, and if 29 and 46 are making a commitment to persevere at something, 33 and 13 are saying, once that experience has concluded, I now have the material to be what the channel is called, the prodigal. The prodigal is this old story of the prodigal son that goes away, gets kicked out very often, and upon his return, 2 decades later, he now brings a wisdom of the world that was needed back in the village somehow, and he becomes the prodigal son with all of this stuff. That's what this is. And the thing is, so in a family, this is part of the penta. All these 2 channels are part of the penta. And so in the family, it's funny because if a kid has 13 and no 33, he's not necessarily saying much in the family. And so when he goes over to a friend's house, if someone there's got the 33, all of a sudden he's dumping all the dirty laundry of the family over at Mrs. Jones's house, when you can't even get him to tell anything when he's at home, type thing. It's just an interesting concept, and it's the other way around when you only have the 33. Up here is very interesting inside the penta. Down below, it's pretty easy to cite, and up here, up top, is where interesting things happen. You got to really think about it. Other stuff about the prodigals, 13 says it has this limited perspective. It's designed to limit itself and literally only take in enough. Only take in enough. It can only have so much empathy. It can only have so much listening. It can sometimes be pessimistic because it's not got quite the right juice. It's always discerning. What will build the novel that I, as the prodigal, will end up remembering for everyone else, and just remembering in general. And it's a great storehouse of knowledge. It's a huge place where our direction gets spilled out into the future through the lens of the past. 13 controls all of that. It happens no place else but here. And so other things can happen that are similar to it, but here's where it does that specifically. And 33 becomes the manifestation of that. It's a voice that says, I remember or not. And sometimes it remembers and it won't say yet because it's not ready. So everything about this channel is, don't just tell your story as it relates to the larger picture. Wait for the right timing, because this becomes a thing that becomes powerful in the accounting of the story, in the telling of what then took place, in the abstract version of piecing it all together from everything else that just happened. And it's the history keeper of our planet. Here is the history of everything. Isn't that the name of a movie? The History of Everything.
Yeah, it's a Mel Brooks movie.
Something like, yeah, okay, I thought so.
Mel Brooks.
Yep. So, and 1333 and 13 especially is literally our genetic capture zone for the capacity to ultimately universalize and speak out the history of everything. It all gets organized here. And that's why this is part of the Sphinx, and it creates a direction that says, from the past, we move forward.
That's some good stuff.
I think so. There's probably lots of other stuff, because this isn't an action channel, so I can't really tell you about how it's going to generate an abysmal wave in the deep of yes or any of that. It's more subtle than that. But can you add anything to that?
Yeah, a couple of things. Just for some context, you mentioned it's one of the penta channels, quote, quote. So the penta channels are the gates from the sacral to the identity, and then the identity to the throat, Again, future episode. Everything
Yep.
is just a future episode. We'll get to it. I have presentations started on it, but just to provide that little context. And yeah, the other interesting thing is like with gate 33, people who have this, they're the ones that people just share all their secrets to. People will just open up to when somebody has gate 13, people will just open up and tell them everything where you're like, wow, this is a little weird to receive. So that's kind of an interesting.
Looking to do that.
Yeah, because it's built into our wiring of like, we want to share our stories for good and bad, whether that's like, I accomplished this thing, or like, someone who committed a crime and, they're almost too ready to tell the police and get it off of their chests, like we're not made to have these kinds of secrets in a way, like a collective circuitry. It is sharing. So I like to think of it as the 13 is the story keeper, and they're the ones who are receiving the memories and the lessons and the secrets and the information. They're the story keeper. And then the 33 is the storyteller.
Totally.
And
There's so much symmetry here.
Absolutely. And it's a projected channel, right? So remember that it's a projected channel. So wait to be recognized and invited before you start blabbing your mouth, because, it might get weird.
Yeah, 13 also begins the quarter of mutation. It begins the wheel every time we start the wheel. It's just got a very storied, important place because it is the full history keeper. And imagine being a 1333, stuck in the closet, not able to come out, having a cancer diagnosis, not willing to tell your family, on and on.
It eats you up, whatever. Yeah, when you
get
can't tell
divorced,
somebody,
and
that
you can't tell
eats
anybody.
you up.
Eats you up. Not eats everyone up, but this particular individual will really have to cope with that. It's a lot because now it's their secrets.
Oh, wow.
So
it's like you almost have to be invited to tell your own secrets.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. Or if you're lucky, you blurt it out, timing or not. Because to get it off of your chest. That sharing is so important. It says, I got to get it off my chest and say it out loud.
Yeah, you need to give it some air.
Yeah, an idea, an admission, I think, all the way up to a confession, even like you were saying.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Certainly ideas and notions and goings-ons and things of that nature. It's got to. Yep.
Yeah, in our wiring.
We love it.
Absolutely. So secret keepers and secret tellers, the story keepers and the storytellers. That's the 1333.
Hey, don't count on being able to trust a 13 or 33 to be like, hey, promise you won't tell anyone. They say, no, I won't tell anyone. This does not make them the pious one that you can absolutely count on that from.
That's funny.
For that, you simply need trust, and that you'll have to measure on your own.
Absolutely. So be careful with those secrets.
Yeah.